Hello guys, and welcome back today to another brand new video. And today we have something different. Instead of a tutorial project or anything, today I'm going to be showing you 7 examples on bad lines of code that you can write in Python. As you can see, I've done all of them in procedures, that all of them have something wrong to them. And yeah, we can see if you guys can try and spot it. Let's just get into the right guys. I've minimized my screen so that we can only see the first example. Whoops. Alright, first of all, have a look at it, try and figure out what's wrong with it. I'll give you a couple seconds. Alright, I'm back. Now, the person, well, I wrote this, but if this was a bad line of code, the person has written today as the date of the day I'm recording this video, right? They've written today. And if today is equal to the 6th of December 2020, tomorrow is the 7th of December 2020. Now, this is bad line of code because because today is not always going to, well, today is the only day this is going to have this date. So this will never run unless unless the year gets changed or the month or the date. So for example, if today is the 6th of December, tomorrow is the 7th of December. But what if tomorrow is the 7th of December, this code can't run because tomorrow is defined as the 7th, even though that's today, tomorrow. Does that make sense? So there's no Python function that you can get the date, so you're just going to have to not do anything with days, I guess. Let's move on to example 2. Now, example 2 is kind of an easy one to figure out what the issue is. As you can see, yes and no is both defined as 1, been giving an assignment of 1, and the statement is saying if yes is equal to no, return false. Now, try and find the issue. This one should be a bit straightforward. Now, if yes is equal to no, which it is, they are both 1, it's returning false. This has to be return true, unless you can have yes is equal to 2 and then it would be false. But the example is yes is equal to 1, no is equal to 1. If yes is equal to not 1, return true. Now this is valid line. Having return false will break the code because whatever you need this return value for won't work because it's false, even though it's true. So yeah, just try not to make that mistake with true and false. Let's move on to example 3. Now in example 3, this one's a bit trickier for beginners to spot what the issue is. But yeah, have a look and see if you can find it. Now, the issue is here that the user's being asked what their name is as an input, right? So this is an input. Inputs also all automatically has a string, the value is always a string. So there's integer, there's string, there's float. It's always a string because it's text, right? And the developer has put in print input. So whatever they input will straight away be printed after they input it. But then they have also put print user input, forgetting that they have put print here. So it's just going to print twice, and the file will gradually increase if you do this all the time, the file size. So you don't want to have this in here. Get rid of this bracket and get rid of the last bracket, and then this is valid lines of code if you want to print the input. But having print input like this will just print it twice. Now let's move on to example 4. Now example 4 is quite similar to example 3. This one's a bit more difficult, but remember what I told you. Try and figure out what the problem is. Now, the issue is that the user, this is perfectly fine. User input equals input, what is your name? That's fine, because the user input, the value of this variable will be, for example, Jake, I don't know, whatever name they input, right? So this is the value, let's say, for example, Jake. So user input is equal to Jake. And user input is equal to string. They want to change it to a string Jake here, right? The issue is that input automatically is automatically a string. So you don't actually need this line. It'll have the same impact because this variable will automatically be classified as string. If you want to change it to an integer for whatever reason, to make it int, user input, but the code was string user input. There's no point of having this, as this is automatically already a string. And yeah, let's move on to example 5. Now, example 5 shows a list of 3 elements of the list, 1, 2, and 3. The code wants to print the first item of the list, in this case is 1, right? So print list 1, right? What's the issue? The issue is that the index of lists don't go, the first element is 1, the second element is 2, the third element is 3, fourth element is 4. The list indexing always starts off with 0, so 0, 1, 2. They want to print the first item of the list, which is 1, but actually doing this will print 2. So you have to remember, the list index always starts with 0 and goes on and on and on. So the second element is 1, this is 2, right? Let's move on to examples. Now, this one's a bit more, actually a bit straightforward for more intermediate programmers, but try and find out what the issue is. Now, the issue is that this is perfectly fine, the first bit. Not ignoring this bit, this is perfectly fine. While name is equals to true, while name. It's just pretty much saying while true, right? To make it a continuous loop. But while name, so whilst it's true, name is equal to false, and we want to run example 6 again. So this is going to keep looping and looping and never move into any direction. So it goes from here to here, that's perfectly fine. This transition here, perfectly fine. And then get to here, the loop breaks because name is now equal to false, and we don't want it as while false, while false, we want it as while true. And then it runs example 6 again, makes name true again, and it runs all over again and again and again. And that will just keep running, not do what the program is meant to do, and just break the program. Now let's move on to example 7. Last example. Now example 7's a bit also now getting a bit more complicated. We have I is equal to 0. While true, I plus equals 1, print I. Now this is perfectly the code written is perfectly valid. It's just what the output you get is probably not what you want to get. For example, if I is equal to 0, and this is a continuous loop, so I will always be plusing equaling 1. And then printing I. This program will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 continually and keep making the shell go crazy pretty much. Actually, I will show you. If we call example 7, run the module, save it, goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and doesn't stop. Now this won't be valid because it'll just make the program size larger and just crash eventually. And yeah, this has been a video on the worst lines of codes I've personally seen other beginners make. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.